What's up, everybody? Relationships. Guys, if you're looking to put some money to work, right? It's always good. If you've had good conversations with people in the past, or maybe you've done deals with people in the past, um, and you've got funds and you want to put them to work, reach out. Reach out to people. I love this lender here. I was just talking to a friend of mine named Brent, and just hit me up on the text message. Say, hey, do you have any deals that need funding? It's been a minute since we've worked together on a project, but I probably wouldn't have called him if he hadn't reached out just now and said, "Hey, I've got X amount and I'm looking to put it to work. You know, what you got going on, right?" So this is what I love about private money lending, relationship based. All right, cool. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Quick Start webinar. We do this every single Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. This is our 33rd. Can you believe it? We've done this 33 times. 1 week off. It was the 4th of July. Other than that, we've been cruising 33 weeks in a row of practicing. That's what this call is all about. This call is all about practice. We're going to practice the fundamentals of private money lending. You know, we may talk about some case studies. We may talk about, education. If you guys have any questions, whatever the case it may be. But we practice elevator pitches. We practice the documents. We practice the communication side of things, right? So every single Thursday, 1 o'clock, this is the spot right here. What's up, William? Good to see you, Chris. All right, cool. We got lots of people logging in. Brittany, Chris, Christine, Chris Stokes is in the house. Clara, Edwin. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Jeff, John, Linda. All right, cool. We got lots of people logging in. You guys, last week we broke a record. Can you believe this? There were over 250 people, or right, I don't want to, right around 250. I can't recall if it was over 250. Right around 250 people that logged in and joined us on this Quick Start webinar, which is awesome, right? Which is really, really cool. And let's see, Chris says, staying dry. Yeah, I mean, I want to give a quick prayer and shout out to everyone that's in this hurricane's path here. Looks like lots and lots of rain as real estate investors. And, nobody likes to deal with this stuff, but man, also if you consider the rental properties and things like that. So for every single person that's dealing with the storm, praying for you, your family, your real estate, and your communities. Hopefully everyone is staying dry and no trees are falling down and all that stuff that comes with dealing with these things. But we are thinking of you. I'm okay. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. The kids don't have school next week or tomorrow. No school tomorrow. But that's pretty par for the course where we live. If the wind blows over 40 miles an hour, they cancel school, which is kind of crazy. But I hope you guys are okay. It is 1 o'clock. We're going to kick things off. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Quick Start webinar. Is anyone here for the first time? We've been 33 weeks now with only 1 week off, 33 weeks in a row. Anthony is here for the first time. Anyone else here for the first time? What's up, John? Good to see you, Anthony, John, and everyone else. Linda. All right, cool. Philip. Yeah, so I see lots of familiar names, but I also see lots of new names in here as well, which is super cool to see. So if you are in Private Money Club or you've been on this webinar routinely, go ahead and welcome everybody that's new, right? What's up, Derek? So go ahead and say, hey, everybody that's new. Let them feel welcome. Let them know that this is an excellent community to meet people. It's a community of growth. Private Money Club. This is our Quick Start webinar. If you're just logging on for the first time, yes, you're in the right place. Every Thursday, 1 p.m., we hold what's called the Quick Start webinar put on to you by the Private Money Club. So this webinar is all about education, right? Our fearless leaders, Stephen Nagy and Chris Naugle, asked me to do this webinar, and I said, okay, great. What do you want me to do? How do you want it to go? And they said, you know what, Noah, we're just giving you the free reins. The biggest thing, the most important thing to us is education, is teaching people. And I thought that was fantastic. That is right up my alley. I love coaching. I love helping people. Private money lending has absolutely changed the game for my real estate investing business. I'm almost exclusive to private money lending with our real estate deals. And I love it. I love the relationship side of the business that it brings. All right, cool. So I'm gonna pull this up, guys. Let's get rocking. Here we go. Welcome to the Quick Start webinar. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. Hope you're staying dry. If you've got any wins, I'd love to hear about it. Is anybody taking what you're learning on these webinars and applying it to real life? Let's hear it. Anybody got anything exciting going on? Any elevator pitches that we've been practicing that you've been, going out there and trying on folks, family, friends, colleagues, other real estate investors? Anybody got a deal closed recently? Anybody made an offer on a property that got accepted? Or hey, maybe you got rejected. Well, I'll still celebrate that. The fact that you went out there and put yourself out there, you're making offers on properties. I love it. One of my mentors early on, right? Robert Kiyosaki, if you ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad, you know what I'm talking about. He said, hey, look, I got to make 100 offers before I get one accepted. 100 offers before I get one accepted, right? And what that tells me is that every single time that you make an offer and someone says no, guess what? We celebrate that. We celebrate that because we know we're one offer closer to hearing the yes, right? Which is fantastic. So I love it. Joining for the first time. John got an accepted offer on a property right now. Nice. Nice. I love it. Hey, and by the way, if you're chatting in the chat box and you want the entire community that's on this webinar here right now, right around 60 people as of right now, to see, like, this is a good networking opportunity if you're on this call. So if you want to network with everyone, make sure you check everyone in that chat box there down at the bottom so that everyone sees it. Otherwise, you're just sending me, you're just talking with me, which is cool too, right? William says, hey, I got a new loan from a member of the Private Money Club, which is awesome. I love it. Great job, William. Love it. Working on a $1.2 million deal. Love it, Perry. Fantastic. Fantastic. I love it. So every single week we celebrate these wins, right? We celebrate the wins. But, whenever we celebrate wins, we got to always remember too that, things can go wrong, right? Private money lending. Where else can a person make a double-digit rate of return and have it secured by real estate that when done right is worth much more, right? Where else can a real estate investor borrow all the funds that they need for the purchase and the repair costs on a fix and flip without having to go to a traditional bank? Both of those statements sound fantastic, but what happens if a person doesn't get the right paperwork? What happens if a lender doesn't know? Maybe they're new and they don't know what questions to ask. Right? They don't know how to analyze a deal, right? I'm teaching a new class. We just started our orientation call for the accelerator coaching program was last night. We've got a new group of students going through that program. And I always like to ask people, hey, what are you hoping to get out of our time together? And a lot of that was just understanding what questions to ask because people don't want to make mistakes. So this is risky business, right? We got to make sure we're doing this stuff the right way. One of the very first things that I teach every single coaching student that I have in the accelerator class is to surround ourselves with licensed business professionals. We want to make sure we're working with real estate attorneys, title companies, licensed real estate agents to help us analyze the deals, licensed contractors, right, that are fixing and flipping the properties and doing the work, property management companies, financial advisors, all of this stuff, right? I am none of these things. I am a real estate investor who's speaking from experience as someone who in their business every single day has conversations and or works with private money lenders in our business. And I'll tell you, I like to make my life easy and I hope you do too. So my advice to every single person on this call right now is to go out and surround yourself with those licensed business professionals so that you can just be the manager. You can just kind of be the orchestra conductor, right? And you say, manager, do your part. Contractor, do your part, right? You're just conducting the orchestra. You're telling everybody what you need from them. Let the professionals handle it, right? And what I found is when you surround yourself with a team, you guys, it really helps minimize the risk, right? It's the folks that go out there and say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna wing it, right? If you go on Private Money Club and you see an opportunity and it says, oh, 15% interest, that sounds fantastic. But then you don't ask the person for the right documents. You don't ask them, or maybe you go online and you print a mortgage off of the internet and hope that that's the right document to have for your deal, your state, so on and so forth, right? We're not gonna do that stuff, right? We're not gonna do that stuff. So we talked about this a little bit last week. I just thought I'd leave it up here again as a friendly reminder. How you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're someone that surrounds yourself with professionals in your real estate business, right? It's only going to carry over into how that transaction goes. And as a lender, here's what's really important. As a lender, if you're lending money, wouldn't you want to lend to a real estate investor that had their team kind of figured out? They already knew who their real estate attorney was going to be. They already knew, maybe you use a title company in your state. They already had that lined up. Wouldn't you want to work with someone who works with a real estate agent who knows what they're doing and isn't just like pulling stuff off of Zillow and things like that, right? Wouldn't you want to lend your money on a fix and flip project to a borrower that has a contractor that's licensed and insured and has a good reputation in their community, right? You see where I'm going with this? So my lenders, when you start looking at deals on the Private Money Club platform, or even in your local communities, it's important that you don't just ask about the person or about the deal itself, but it's really important that you ask about that person's team, right? Did they get a home inspection set up? What kind of insurance are they getting, right? Do they have, because part of the things that we want to be listed on the insurance, right? Well, is it the right type of insurance? Do they have a company that they work with regularly who specializes in those types of investments and things like that? So there's a lot to this, right? But I promise you, if we do the grunt work up front, if we figure out all this information up front, it's just going to make the conversation so much easier when you start talking with people about borrowing and lending money. All right. So every single session, we do this session again. Welcome to the Quickstart webinar. Those of you just logging in right now, we're right around 80 people and climbing. So that's good to see. Last week we had over 250 people on the call, which was so fantastic. If you're logging on here for the first time, every single Thursday, 1 o'clock, we practice fundamentals. We practice learning new things, right? Best practices of private money lending. And so make sure you come back every single week because we're just building on it every single week. It just keeps getting better and better. For those of you who log on for the first time, my name is Noah Harris. I'm a real estate investor out of Columbia, South Carolina. Lots of times in my case studies, I use a company called Revive Homes LLC. That's my fix and flip company. That was established back in 2013. Since then, going on 11 years, and we are almost exclusive when it comes to our borrowing needs to using private money lenders. For a long time, I used hard money lending, and there's nothing wrong with using hard money lenders. I recommend that everyone on this call, if you have a real estate deal and you do not have a private money lender yet, there's nothing wrong with going the hard money lending route. But there's going to come a time where you may want to grow your business. You may want to take on more than one project at a time. You may not want to be putting all these large chunks of cash down and outlaying large amounts of money in draws and things like everything that goes along with using a hard money lender. So start out using hard money, but then transition, start making the connections, join Private Money Club, meet the right people. Once your private money lender database and relationships outweigh your dollar amount that you need from your hard money lenders, then you make the switch. Then you make the jump, right? That's what we did. So our goal is 100% track record. You guys have seen this slide 33 times, some of you more than that. My goal is the same for you, is the same that I have in my business. And that's to have a 100% track record with your lenders, with your borrowers, right? Everything's great. If you're a lender and you're making 10, 15, 12, 10, right? Annualized interest or however you're getting paid. These are nice interest rates that I'm using as examples here, right? And everything's gravy, everything's great. But if you have one hiccup, what happens? We don't want to lose, right? In order for this machine to take off and do what it's got to do, we got to make sure we're making good decisions, we're asking good questions, and we're lending to good people, right? And the same thing from our borrowers. If you have one bad real estate deal, it can ruin you. It can set you back. I've met a lot of people who have gotten into real estate. They do one or two deals. They take on too much more than they can chew, and they end up losing money, and they don't get back into real estate because of it, right? So our goal, 100% track record, whether we're borrowing funds or we're lending money, and that's our goal for you. This is relationship based, right? So I teach a course called the Accelerator Program. I teach it for Private Money Club Give you a little bit more information about that here in a minute. And I'm telling my students, hey, this is relationship based. Last night, Wednesday night, we had an orientation, and this is good advice for everybody on the call. Last night, during the orientation, we had 14 or 15 people that were on the call. The class is filled up at 20. And we were going around, we were just trying to figure out like what was everyone's goals, right? Who was a lender, who was a borrower, why private money lending, what attracted them to private money lending, what's their career like? Are they just starting out? Like there was one gentleman in there named Richard, super young guy, and he was kind of getting everything going, right? He had a job, he was an engineer at a software company, and he was doing this on the side because he wanted to be smart with his money while he pursued his career. So if I'm talking to that person and I'm the borrower, I'm thinking, all right, how can I build a relationship with that person? How can I serve that lender? What's important to that lender? And if I have a deal or a loan opportunity that helps meet that person's goals, then I'm gonna be sure that I'm gonna present it to him. Right? On the flip side of that, there was a lot of people in there that were like, hey, I'm retired. I'm about to be retired. I got a few years left or what have you, right? And so it's important. Hey, tell me a little bit about that. Like, what are your goals? Like, you see yourself working at your job another 5 years? Like, what's important to you? Mailbox money, just knowing. And I'm figuring out how we can help one another, right? And I'm making a list. I'm writing it all down. I'm not just having conversations and then one year out the other. Like, we're writing it down. And so that way I can serve them, as their coach, as their teacher. I'm looking for things that I can teach them that are important to them. But if I was a borrower and they were the lender, I'm doing the same thing, right? So this is relationship based, right? If you want to be great at borrowing money, put your lender on a pedestal. Put your lender on the lender always comes first, right? What can we do to give our lenders a great customer service experience, right? That's what it's all about. So welcome to the Private Money Club. Let's do a quick roll call here. I think it's so funny. Had it happen again. Seems to happen every week here lately. I got lots of friends, lots of family, and people I interact with at local meetups and out in the field, and they see me wearing like a Private Money Club t-shirt, or I got the hat back there, that I'm wearing out and about. And people always ask, hey, I've heard about private money, but where are these private money lenders? Who are these people? And it's funny to me that they look at me like I got 8 heads, and it's as if a private money lender is some mythical creature. It's like Bigfoot, which I find it so funny. And what I tell them is, hey, borrowers and lenders, these are average, everyday people that just want to do better. Right? They're just looking for something different. So roll call. I see many of you already are in on it here. Where are my borrowers at? Type borrower in the chat box. If you're a lender, type lender in the chat box. Lots of people are both. All right, cool. Oh my gosh, look at all these Bigfoots. Look at all these mythical people here. What's the dinosaur that swims over there near the Loch Ness Monster, right? It's not so. It's just, I tell people it's all about your community and where you're hanging out, where you're fishing, right? Like if you're fishing in the right pond, you're hanging out in the right community, or Chris calls it the campfire. It's easy to find people like us, right? But if you're out and about talking to people at the grocery store about private money lending, they're gonna look at you like you're an alien. They're not gonna know what you're talking about, right? So I love this. Yeah, lots of people said both. There's a lot of folks that I meet who are real estate investors, and maybe they borrow funds to do their own deals, but they have a retirement account from a previous corporation or a corporate job, or maybe 2 or 3, and they're trying to figure out what to do with that, right? So they roll that over into a self-directed IRA, and then they lend with their IRA, and they borrow from other people to do their own deals, which is cool too. Is that how you guys do it? If you said both, is that how you do it? I love it. Cool. Marva says, yep. All right, cool. I love it too. There's some good networking in here as well going on. I can see it in the chat box. Joel says, hey, here's my range, 10 to 15%. Each loan opportunity is unique. I've got a 100% track record with my lenders. Hey, there's a nice conversation starter, right? Hop on the phone together. Let's do it. All right, Private Money Club. For those of you who are logging into this for the first time, you're like, no, you've mentioned Private Money Club a couple times. What the heck is the Private Money Club? I don't even know how I got here. Well, Private Money Club is a platform where borrowers and lenders can network, can meet one another, right? Borrowers can post deals, lenders can put in their profiles, like their lending criteria and what they do, right? So there's three different options here. If you are a premier member of Private Money Club, type it in the chat box. Where are my premier members at? This is a paid membership. There's some bells and whistles that maybe the free members don't have. Okay, lots of people here. All right, cool. If you're not premier yet, right? But maybe you see yourself leapfrogging and joining Premier. If you're a free member right now, that's cool. If you're brand new, that's cool, right? Just type, I'm a free member right now, but I'd love to chat. Once you're serious about it, I highly recommend it. And everyone that's saying Premier right here will probably tell you the same, right? And then for those of you that are brand new and you're like, I don't know what's going on. What I'm going to do is, if you're serious about borrowing with private lending and building new relationships, right? Like maybe you're a real estate investor currently, maybe you're aspiring to be a real estate investor. I'll share with you how I would set up a free membership with Private Money Club just to kind of get your foot in the door and see what it's all about. If you're someone who came over from, I don't know, like a money multiplier event, or Chris and the team, maybe they helped you get set up with their own banking policies and you're trying to figure out what to do with it. Step number one, let's get into Private Money Club, right? So we can figure out how to make money with our money and start acting like a bank. All right, cool. Yeah, just like Leah said, right? What we do on this call here, and also through our accelerator coaching program, and really any type of opportunity, whether it's a live event or anything that Private Money Club offers, we're usually building on these four building blocks here, right? Credibility, clarity, confidence, right? In the community side of the business. I meet so many people. Let me ask you guys, be honest. Be honest. How many of you know someone right now who would make a great private money lender, but they don't know it yet? Derek said, me. Okay, wow, lots of people. Shannon's chiming in, Leah, Brenda, Anthony. Yes, my sister. Fern, we gotta practice. We gotta practice this stuff, right? It's okay. Let's put ourselves out there. Let's get the elevator pitches going. Let's create some intrigue. What I find lots of times, especially with folks who are brand new to private money lending, like they've heard about it, they know it, they understand it, but maybe regardless of a person's experience level, maybe they have some sort of something going on in their own heads here where it's like, maybe I'm not credible enough, right? You know, if I've been a nurse for 10 years and now I'm getting into real estate, I can't go and talk to my friends and family. They think I'm a nurse. They're going to be like, what are you doing flipping houses? What, you don't have any, in their eyes, you might not be deemed credible, right? And that's what we're telling ourselves, right? So one of the things that we work on these calls and in our accelerator program is really pumping up our credibility. I already talked about this today. I shared with you one of 7 steps that I teach in the accelerator course. That was like our second or third slide. One of the very first things that we want to build or use to help build our credibility is surround ourselves with great people, real estate professionals, right? So we practice this on this call and any other event here at Private Money Club. And then the clarity. Lots of times people are like, hey, I want to have these conversations, right? Fern says, I want to have a conversation with my sister, but I just want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go to someone and ask them for 200,000, 300,000, $500,000, right? Or 1.2, as our friend in the chat was looking to raise. If I don't have clarity around the topic myself. Okay, so that's one of the things that we work on here as well. Because, you know, and if we have the first two team, the third always comes. The confidence always comes, right? And it's going to take practice. It's going to take education. It's going to take practice, practicing putting together deals, right? Sometimes I feel like I am invincible when it comes to talking to people about private money lending. I feel like I'm batting 1,000%. But a big part of that is because I practice it all the time. I do a webinar every single Thursday. I'm teaching 200 people about this, right? So we got to get the reps in. And it's okay to strike out. I've had way more strikeouts than I have singles. You know what I mean? So we got to start swinging the bat. And then it also has a lot to do with the community. You know, it's funny if you ask any real estate investor, real estate coach, so on and so forth, family and friends sounds like a great place to go get funding for your real estate deals. But we always kind of laugh because oftentimes it doesn't work out too well. Because lots of times our family, our friends, our immediate circle, they might not understand how private money lending works. So what's cool about these calls and the Private Money Club is that there is a community here where everyone seems to understand the gist of what private money lending is. There's no elevator pitches. So if you're nervous about having to deliver an elevator pitch, in Private Money Club, we're not necessarily delivering elevator pitches. I don't have to explain to someone how a private money loan works because most people understand it because they've been around the campfire. They've taken classes. They understand it, right? So you're fishing in a pond where people want to bite. They want to say yes to deals and opportunities. People are looking to put their money to work in this type of asset class, right? Which is super cool. A couple things here. I always show this slide every single week. I end with this slide. I also put it right in the middle of the slide as well. What is it? Well, I'm encouraging you to make a move. All right. So every single week, I'd like to see the momentum continue. Right. I'm going to give you things that we talk about, especially if you're on this call for the first time. You're going to learn lots on this call if you're on this call for the first time, right? I want you to practice it. Go ahead and write it down. Go back and watch the replays. Like, practice. I'm going to give you elevator pitch blueprints. Practice it, right? Make that at a minimum, right? But if you're on the call for the very first time, I would also highly recommend creating your Private Money Club profile and scheduling a call with the team. So you can create a profile for free. I'm going to ask Jose. Jose, people are messaging me. So can you put it in the text box here? How to schedule a call? All right, right on cue. Thank you, Jose. So Jose Harkin is part of the Private Money Club team. And there's a link right there where you can schedule a call with Jose and he will give you a VIP tour. We'll roll out the red carpet over the computer and give you a little tour of the Private Money Club and how you can leverage it for your real estate investing business and goals. And our link is there as well, a phone number, contact us. But I believe every single person on this call, all 97 people, should have a free, at the bare minimum, Private Money Club profile that they can leverage. All right. And then leapfrog, join Premier when it's time, when it's time to go, right? Accelerator course. If you are a free Private Money Club member and you're looking to accelerate your growth, really understand this business at a quicker level, at a faster pace, I would love to be your coach. We have a class going on right now. I believe it is full, but the next class starts November 4th, which is awesome, right? We also have an event coming up, Money Tank in Charlotte. It's at the racetrack, right? Charlotte Motor Speedway, November 8th and 9th. I hope to see you there. I'm going to be emceeing that event, which is super exciting, right? Where do you set up that free PMC profile? Where is that link? Marva said that. I think Jose can help you out with that, Marva. All right. And we got Brent Nagy in the house. Everyone say hi to my friend Brent Nagy. Brent Nagy and I went to high school together. Can you believe that? Brent and I went to high school together. He's in the chat box. We went to high school together. We were very good friends. We both got into real estate. Brent Nagy was a smart man when back in 2010, 11, 12, 13, during the foreclosure crisis. My good friend in the chat box there, Brent Nagy, went out and bought every single dilapidated house he could get his hands on in Fort Myers, Florida. And guess what he did when the market hit an all-time high these last couple of years? He started selling it off. And guess what he's doing now? Guess what he does now? Type it in the chat box. He's not buying any more real estate. Guess what he's doing? Lending. Ding, 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 ding. Right? Smart guy. Smart guy. Just a great example of the type of people in our community here within the Private Money Club, which is awesome. So good to see you on here, Brent. You know what's cool, you guys? And this is a good lesson. Just true story, right? Brent, for a long time, real estate investor. I'm a real estate investor. I'm using private money lending. Brent's lending money. However, we never did a deal together until we were both in Private Money Club. So we were on a webinar together chatting, hey, what are you doing here? Hey, what are you doing here? How's things been? Da 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 da, right? And and I was like, hey, you're lending, I'm buying. Let's do a deal together. It was really cool to see. So even though we grew up great friends and went to the same school and everything like that, it took the private money club for us to finally, do some deals together, which was awesome. Yeah, he's a pilot too. He's like the Indiana Jones of real estate. He flies around in his plane looking at stuff all over the country. All right, so if you're interested in the class, here we go. This is the accelerator course. And I'm not going to talk about this too much. This class, I believe, is full. Jose, can you confirm? Neither confirm nor deny this. I would reach out to Jose. Sometimes people sign up, but then they have to take the next one. So I would message Jose, click the link, pick up the phone and call the Private Money Club if you'd like to take this course with me. We start Monday. All right, so we start this class Monday. The next one starts November 4th. All right, November 4th. All right, so let's get into some education, right? I just gave you the gist of what's going on with the Private Money Club community. Let's get into some education. So anytime I teach, I show disclaimer slides. Real estate is tough. Private money lending is tough. You got to know what you're doing. Don't lend money you're not willing to lose. And oh my gosh, educate yourself as much as you can and surround yourself with the right business professionals. I know what many of you are thinking. Noah, get on with it. Show me the nuts and the bolts. Get to the meat and potatoes. This is the meat and potatoes. This is the meat and potatoes. If you don't have a real estate attorney helping you, what are you doing? Right? If you don't have a good contractor with your fix and flips, you don't have a good real estate agent helping you, what are we doing? Right? How you do anything is how you do everything. So make sure we're surrounding ourselves with the right team. All right. Here we go. Oh, by the way, if anyone has any questions, lots of times, if you can post them in the Q&A, if it's a question for Jose or, if it's a question about enrolling in a class, Jose can help answer that question. If it's a question about real estate or what we're talking about on the screen, please post it in the Q&A section so that I'll make sure that I answer it. But sometimes the chat box just goes too quick up and down where I can't see everything. All right, so if you have any question, post it specifically in the Q&A box. All right, cool. So let's get into it. This is a slide. I've shown this slide 33 times. I've shown this slide 33 times, yet there's people on this call who have been on every single week looking at this same slide with me. So what that tells me is that you're not sick of seeing it, right? And what that tells me is that you're weird like me and you like to practice this stuff. Okay, so I'm big on repetition. I'm big on fundamentals, right? If you look at any professional sports team, like I'm a big hockey fan right now. I always have been, but right now the hockey season's about to start. So guess what they're practicing? The teams, what are they practicing? They're practicing the fundamentals. They're skating, shooting, passing, breaking out of the zone, things like that, right? Nothing fancy. So on these calls, we do the same thing. We practice what I like to call different floors of our elevator pitch. So this would be floor number one. All right, this is floor number one. And I'm going to elaborate here. How I teach private money lending, and I don't know, maybe you like this, maybe you think I'm weird about this. How I teach the elevator pitch is very different than how most people teach an elevator pitch, at least my philosophy behind it and how I think about this. All right. So sometimes when we hear elevator pitch, we think fast. We think 30 seconds, right? An elevator pitch is enough time to, how quickly can you spew and vomit all over somebody what it is that you do for a living, right? That's the elevator pitch. That's not how I teach it. I don't believe in being pushy. I don't believe in coming off too salesy. I don't believe in trying to offer something to someone who isn't interested in what you have to offer, right? That's just not my style. And we don't have to feel as though we're being pushy, all right? And so when I teach the elevator for private money lending, like how to get people excited to want to sit down with us and have a one-on-one meeting, how I teach this is floors. First floor, second floor, third floor, and fourth floor. And the big takeaway from this is understanding who is pushing the button to go to the next floor. All right, so I'm going to ask you, based off of everything I just said, who do you think should be pushing the button to go to the next floor? Who do you think? Yeah, the listener. Javier said so. So in this case, if let's say I'm the real estate investor, I'm the borrower and I'm talking to somebody about private money lending, right? And my ultimate goal is to get this person excited about private money lending and want to sit down and have a meeting with me, either over Zoom or maybe at the coffee shop or whatever, right? Or come over to my house, come over to my office, right? Yeah, so we want the person pushing the button. So it's important that with every floor, there's intrigue, all right? And now keep this in mind. My elevator rides could be 30 seconds. They could be. Or they could be 3 years. I know that sounds crazy. You're like, no, I have a deal right now. I don't have 3 years, right? It just depends on the person. It depends on who I'm talking to, right? And it depends on if I'm going to see this person again or not. That has a lot to do with it too, right? So for a real long time, I'll give you an example. There might be someone that I see regularly. Like I like to use my kids. I have two boys at home, 10 and 8 years old. My 10-year-old plays travel hockey. So we go to the rink all the time, right? And if they play soccer, we're at the soccer field. You guys get it. So lots of times as we're meeting and networking with other parents, right? It's very common that we ask one another what we do for a living, things like that, right? Just being normal human beings. Well, what's cool is if I'm talking to someone, let's just say at another parent at like the hockey rink, I know I'm going to see him next week. I know I'm going to see him for the next 23 weeks, right? There's no rush. There's no rush, right? So if we're watching the practice, right? And you can do this any setting. I'm just using context that I use every single week. There's no rush. So if I'm talking to folks, I'm like, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a nurse. Oh, okay, that's really cool. How long you been doing that? So I love asking people what they do for a living. I'm fascinated. I am genuinely fascinated how other people make money. I'm genuinely fascinated by what their day looks like, the education that they had to have, the classes that they took, the degrees they got, perhaps, the different parts of the country maybe that job took them, different parts of the world maybe that job took them. I want them to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk because I really am fascinated by what other people do for a living. But what's cool is what's common courtesy and human nature is that when we ask someone what they do for a living, what are they automatically going to do once they're done talking? What are they going to automatically do, Shannon? Right? I see Shannon says, "Yeah, that's me." Boom. They're gonna turn around and ask us, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" Right? And it doesn't matter what you do for a living right now. Like I know many of you are transitioning from different careers. I keep using this nurse analogy, so I'll just stick with it. Like maybe you've been a nurse in the emergency room for the last 10 years, but now you also want to kind of get into real estate. Maybe you're tired of the late hours. You want to get off your feet. You're tired of dealing with crazy people at 2 in the morning or whatever it is, right? You can still take the credibility that you have from the skill set that you have and the career that you have and parlay it right over into real estate, right? And by the way, I'm not even getting into the first floor. This is like the lobby. This is the lobby, right? And I might say, if I was that emergency room nurse, I might say, hey, look, for the last 10 years, I've been a nurse. I've been working in the emergency room, and but what I've realized is that not only am I interested in saving other people's lives, I'm ready to work on mine a little bit from a financial perspective as well. And I got into real estate investing, right? So what did we say there? We're brand new, but we come from a career where we've had a lot of training, we've had a lot of expertise, we've had a lot of responsibilities prior to jumping into real estate, right? And prior to working with people and using private lenders and all of these things and finding deals, I educated myself. I got a good team. I got a great attorney. I got a great real estate agent. Got a great contractor. Check, 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 check. Everything we just talked about 30 minutes ago, right? And now I'm getting into real estate. Have you ever seen the TV show Flip This House? Oh my God, I love that. That's what you do, right? I say that all the time. Because sometimes people like, when you say like, what do you do for a living? I'm a real estate investor. But sometimes when you say real estate investor, it goes over people's heads, or they think like commercial buildings, or maybe they're just not really sure what that looks like. So what I like to say is just, hey, have you ever seen the house flipping shows where people buy houses, they fix them up, they sell them, right? They're investors. And I watch people's eyes light up, watch the smiles. And when you see a reaction on someone's face, play off of that. Oh, I see that interests you. That interests you. You get excited about that. Tell me about that. Oh my! And everyone can relate. to those shows. Everyone's seen those shows, right? For the most part. 99% of the people have seen these shows. And I ask them, hey, well, you seem interested in that. Like, why is that? And lots of times it's like, well, my uncle did real estate, my parents did real estate, a house across the street, an investor bought, fixed up and sold it, made a ton of money. Da, 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 da. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's always something that is compelling to them about real estate. So I like finding out what that is. And lots of times there's this excuse though, right? I'll ask them, hey, well, why haven't you gotten into real estate yet? Right? I know you're an architect. I know you're an accountant. I know you're a dental hygienist. I know it doesn't matter. You've got your career, but you could still do real estate. Why haven't you done it yet? It always comes down to, this is important, a problem. I don't know how. I don't have $1 million. People think they need millions of dollars to do real estate. I don't know how to fix up the properties. I don't have the time, right? It's usually the same 4 or 5 things, right? Time, money, knowledge. It is what it is, right? That's what it is. And then we can turn around and we can say, hey, well, look, what if you didn't have to have the time? What if you could still focus on your accounting firm, but then at the same time put your money to work in real estate? Would you be interested in learning more about that? Yes, I would, right? And that's what I'm looking for. When that person says yes, what do? They push the button. They push the elevator button. The door's open, right? And that's when we get into this stuff that's on the screen right here, all right? Is this good stuff? I know I went a little bit more in depth than I normally do, but like just to provide some context of like, hey, how do we kick these conversations off? What does this look like, right? These are the types of things that we talk about in the accelerator class. I can deep dive into stuff, not just what's on the screen and the bullet points. But once someone says, yeah, what do you mean? Tell me about that. Well, what we do is we use everyday people just like yourself, as opposed to going to a traditional bank to fund our real estate deals, right? We use what's called a private money loan, and it's a loan secured by real estate. And these 4 little words seem to really help things register with folks who have never heard of this before, just like a bank. So we try to provide documents, the same documents to our lenders. We try to do everything the same as a bank would do, right? And let me elaborate. That's what I'm talking about. Let me elaborate. Do you own the home that you live in, right? Chances are they're going to say yes. Yeah, we do. Okay, great. Or have you ever bought a house? Yes. Okay, great. When you bought that house, did you get a mortgage? Most of the time they're going to say yeah, right? So they say, okay, great. Just like you went and got a mortgage, and you got a mortgage from a bank, you signed a contract with them, a promissory note that outlined the terms of the loan and all of this stuff as well, right? You called and you got insurance set up on the property before closing. You did all these things. Yep, right? And so, well, the same thing that you did to buy your house is exactly what we sign when working with you. But instead of us going to Wells Fargo like you did to buy your house, you are the bank. And watch the light bulbs start to go off. Watch the light bulbs start to go off. And then the cliffhanger. We got a little cliffhanger. We have to leave them intrigued to wanting to know more. So this is where I might bring up how crazy we are when it comes to the interest rates that we pay, right? And we say, yeah. And so instead of going to a traditional bank, we actually use private people just like yourself, right? The loan is secured by real estate just like a bank would want. And we pay a crazy high interest rate. I think it's crazy. We pay a crazy high interest rate. And then you stop talking, okay? We stop talking at this point. There's nothing to say. Nothing more to say. We asked them what they did for a living. They asked us, right? But we left a real nice cliffhanger there for them. Because now, what are they thinking? What are they thinking about? What are they thinking about? Yeah, we pay a crazy high interest rate to work with people just like you, right? What are they thinking the whole time? Type it in the chat box. What are they thinking? What do they want to know? They want to know what that interest rate is, right? Yeah, show me the money. Right, Shannon? Right, Chris? Show me the money. And so if now that they are the ones that are continuing the conversation, and this might happen back to back. It might happen where we have this conversation. Yeah, we pay a crazy high interest rate, right? And then we go grab a cup of coffee. We come back to see them again, and maybe we don't talk about it again. But I promise you, they are thinking about it. They're driving home in their cars. I wonder what interest rate Noah pays. You know what? Next week when I see him, I'm going to bring that up again. I'm going to talk real estate with him and see what this is all about. I'm not going to talk about it until they push the button, right? They push the button, right? Good stuff, good stuff. All right, so here we go. Yeah, tell me more. But wait, there's more. So show me the money. So anytime that I express or talk about the crazy high interest rates that we pay, I got to remember that it's all kind of relative, right? Like I know if I'm talking to someone who's super financially savvy and has lots of investment options, like Chris Naugle, for instance, then I might focus on higher rates and things like that. But my general statement when I'm at the second floor of my elevator, is I say, hey, we pay anywhere from 8 to 12% annualized interest. Each loan opportunity is unique. I'm giving them a variance, right? I'm giving them a variance. And at this point, when you talk about the interest rate, this is usually pretty quick, right? They're going to be pushing the buttons, right? And there is this thing called optimism bias, where people, always believe that the best case scenario is always going to happen to them. I tend to think like that, optimist, right? So we got to make sure that we give this variance here. Each loan opportunity is unique. We kind of set that up, but they're thinking in their minds most of the time, wow, 12%, up to 12%. That's really cool. Like, I want to learn more about this. But here's the thing. When they say we got to learn more about this, we want to learn more. They're pushing the button. They want to go to the next floor. We got to remember this. It could also sound too good to be true. All right. The higher the interest rate is that you're paying your lenders, the crazier you sound. Right. And I see people in Private Money Club that offer these crazy rates. And I think they're actually doing themselves a disservice by offering these crazy rates, because it's almost like, okay, is this too good to be true? This sounds kind of scammy, right? Like you got like don't offer 33% interest if someone's willing to do 10. Like why would you might be scaring away business with these higher interest rates, right? So you got to remember, put yourselves in the shoe of the lender. The lender might be thinking, is this too good to be true? Like I don't want to get caught up in wanting to make 12% on my money. So this is a great opportunity to hit this floor here, where we explain to them that when it comes to operating like a bank, what we mean by that is the same documents that a bank would want, like a promissory note, a mortgage, right? We are going to provide to our lenders. This is the collateral. This is the security, right? So here's Mr. and Mrs. Lender. Here's what we do. We provide everyone with a promissory note that outlines the terms of the loan. We provide them with a mortgage or deed of trust, depending on which state you're operating in, right? We provide a personal guarantee, and we list them on the insurance just like a bank would want. Here's the thing. This is not the end all be all, okay? Like accelerator students, people taking my class here, there's a huge checklist that we go down of things that you're going to want to verify and ask for and do. But for conversation purposes, to get people excited to want to sit down and talk to us, meet with us, have a Zoom with us, pick up the phone, have a conversation, this is what we're talking about here, right? So yes, we offer crazy high interest rates, but that's the nature of our business that we're in. Each loan opportunity is unique. We provide all of our lenders with a promissory note, a mortgage, personal guarantee, and we list them on the insurance as a loss payee, right? At that point, it's like, dang, this sounds good. They've thought of everything, right? You follow them here? So this is floor 3 that we're on. But at the same time, there may be a little bit of hesitation, doubt, or maybe people just want clarity on next steps or how this works, right? What does that look like? Well, remember, I'm gonna end my conversation with this. All the documents are prepared and recorded by a licensed professional, right? So I'm letting them know. And if you have a team set up as you should, like here in South Carolina, we use real estate attorneys to conduct our closings. I'm going to let them know, hey, look, I've got a great team that does our closings. And if you would like, with our lenders, if they don't have an attorney that they use regularly and they'd like some advice on and some guidance on who's a good one in our area, in our state, in our county, in our city, in our town, then I'll let them know, hey, this is the team that I work with. They work on the title. They get everything prepared for closing. And if you would like them to prepare your mortgage, your promissory note, and things like that, I can absolutely introduce you to them, right? But I'm letting them know, hey, all documents are prepared and recorded by a licensed professional, and attorneys are involved. How I've seen deals gone wrong, every once in a while, someone will come to me and they didn't take the class, they have zero education around it. They get caught up on seeing like, oh, 15% interest, like I'll do that, and they just sign a promissory note. There's no mortgage or anything like that. If there was a mortgage, it wasn't recorded. There's all of those problems happen because attorneys weren't involved, right? So when you have an attorney involved that does this for a living, it really makes it difficult to screw up. Okay, so I'm letting them know, hey, all the documents are prepared and recorded by a licensed professional, right? That's how we do things. And this should kind of get the ball rolling here. Now, any other questions that come up at this point, if someone is like, hey, I want to learn more, we stop talking, right? We could talk all day about this, right? Let's do this. Let's set up a time where we can discuss this one-on-one. Let's set up let's go grab a coffee. Let's set up a Zoom call. Let's set up a phone call, right? And I can tell you more about our business, how we do things, our niche, our business model, and things like that, right? So once you get to the fourth floor, the goal of all of this is the only thing that we're selling is the next step. The only thing that you're selling is the next step. You're not selling a deal. If you've got a deal that needs funding right away, I'm never going to go, oh, by the way, I've got one right now and it has to close in 10 days. And, are you in or not? Like, that's not how we do business, right? The only thing that we're talking about here is the next step, which is a one-on-one meeting. All right. Is this good stuff? I've got some questions in the chat, so I'm going to stop my share so I can look at them and see what they are. Seth says, as part of the accelerator course, are there documents included that we can use as a borrower with our lenders when we find them? This is a great question. All right, so Seth said, hey, as part of the accelerator course, or being a Premier member for that matter, are there documents included that we can download or use rather as a borrower with our lenders when we find them? There are example mortgages, there are example notes, Seth. And they're found in Private Money Club, and in the class I show you where to find them as well, and I upload them to our class folder. However, I do not recommend that anyone use them. All right, so there's examples, and the reason being, I do not want to empower you with a mortgage or a promissory note that all you have to do is fill it in, because I want you to go and work with a real estate attorney. Okay? I want you to take care of your lender, right? Unless you're a real estate attorney, like why are we printing and writing in things, right? Does that make sense? So, and I try to do this out of the safety of everyone in the community. I want real estate attorneys involved. I want people who do closings and escrow title companies involved, okay, through the entire process. So they're in there and you can look at them as reference, but as your coach in the accelerator program, I'm going to tell you to go find a real estate attorney that you're going to be working with regularly. And a lot of that is good. That's going to help you actually be a better borrower and be a better lender. So like what I do is I say, if I have a deal that needs funding and I'm talking to someone who's a new potential lender, they say yes, let's say they're in, I want to do your next deal. No, okay, great. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say, okay, here's how it works. Like obviously, like we sign a mortgage, we sign a promissory note, things like that. As the lender, that's your responsibility to provide to us what you want us to sign. However, the deal that we're doing right now, I'm using this attorney. They're doing all the title work and getting everything ready for us to purchase it. They are very good at this. And if you would like to work with them and you want to hire the same office that's doing the closing, I would recommend it, right? Now that attorney is going to have them sign something that says they represent them with the mortgage and they represent us with the closing, of course, right? But I'm referring them to someone that's in my state. So you got to remember this too. If I'm talking to someone and they're from, Georgia and I'm in South Carolina, we want to make sure that we're using documents that are for South Carolina, if that's where the property is. If that's where the mortgage is going to be recorded, we want to make sure that it's written right? So just to make, and when I explain this to the lenders, they love it, right? They don't want me printing something and filling it in and hopefully everything's there, right? So while Private Money Club provides examples, I would only use them for educational purposes. And I would encourage you to go out and work with someone that does this for a living, if that helps, right? Cool. Gilbert, connect with Jose. So the accelerator course, it's a couple $1,000. It just depends on how, like if you have a Premier membership, if you are taking other classes, there's packages and bundles and things like that. So I think it can range anywhere from two to three grand. right? So I hope that answers your question a little bit. Anyone else wondering, Gilbert's? And if you have any questions about that, just let us know. Next class starts November 4th, I believe, right? We offer a discount with Premier membership. All right, cool. Thanks, Jose. Yeah. So the best thing to do is click that link right there, Gilbert, and anyone else, Clara, that's interested. And I'll tell you what, I don't have too many people that balk at the investment into the course, because if you're really looking to build private money lending relationships and you just want to get better at communicating and explaining, it's totally worth it. I have no problem saying that. As someone who used to use hard money lenders for a very long time, it's extremely costly to do so. So if you are a real estate investor and you're only using hard money, or you're only using your cash, and you're missing out on future other opportunities because you don't have any money left over, we got to start using private money lenders. Like, why wouldn't you? In my area, just to kind of give you an idea of the cost benefit of things, there's a hard money lending company that's very common where we live, and they charge 13% and they charge 3% origination fee to do the loans. So if I'm borrowing $200,000, one of the fees, this is just one of the fees that's going to go to that hard money lending company, is 3% of that 200,000. So 3% of the 200,000, that's $6,000. That's just coming out of our pockets and going into theirs, right? Nice doing business with you. And if your goal is to do let's just say 2 or 3 deals a year, let's just say 3 deals a year, and each time you're borrowing funds, it's right around that $200,000 mark. That could be $18,000 that you're paying in just origination fees, which is crazy. I was talking to my friend Greg Waddy. He owns a company called Private Lending Underwriting Services that Private Money Club recommends if you want help underwriting a private money loan, have someone review and go through that process for you. And he also does work for another hard money lending company, and he was telling me that the rates that company is charging is 12% annualized interest and 4 points to do a fix and flip deal. 4 points. So that's 4% of the loan. If you're borrowing $300,000 for a fix and flip, right out of the gate, you're paying 4%. $12,000 is going out of your pocket and into that hard money lending company, right? So now for my lenders on the call, some of you are like, well, hey, that sounds awesome. I want to be the hard money. I would love to make 4% origination on the loans that I'm doing, right? And that's the ultimate back and forth, right? Like in accelerator class, we teach our lenders negotiation strategies to bump up your rates, and I teach my borrowers negotiation strategies to try to get those rates down and try to eliminate having to pay points, right? And what I can tell you guys, the riskier it seems like in the private money lending community, the PMC club, the riskier the borrower, where does the interest rate go? Where does the interest rate go? It goes up. If you're riskier, if you're brand new, you'd be prepared to pay a little bit more, right? But if you're a real estate investor and you got your system in place and you got your team built out and you've got a deal where, hey, I'm asking for 100 grand, and once it's all fixed up, it's going to be worth 250. Like that's a lot of equity in there, right? There's a little less risk involved in that example, right? So what's going to happen to the interest rate? It's going to come down a little bit, right? So typically I'm paying in the private money club anywhere from 10 to 12%, no points. So if everyone's wondering like, well, what's it like in there? There's nothing set. Everyone's a little bit different, right? I know Leah on here, she likes to get at least 15, I imagine, on her loans, right? So as a lender, you get to set your policy, right? What's your company policy? Like, look, and yeah, Leah says, yeah. So, and she's smart. So she's got to weigh her options. She says, hey, look, I got a good relationship with this person over here. They're paying me 15%. Why would I go anywhere else? Right? At the same time, you know, if you are working with someone, you're like, gosh, like they've done this 100 times. It's like clockwork. There's a lot of equity in this deal. Nothing wrong with paying 10 or 12 if you feel like it's a safer bet for you, right? Keyword bet. Keyword bet. All right, cool guys. Well, it is 2:00. This has been our power hour. I hope anyone learned something new on the call. Those of you who are on the call for the first time, are we learning? Are we networking? Are we growing? All right, cool. That's what it's all about. So before you leave, I'm going to put this up one more time. I always show this slide twice so that you can know what to be working on. You can take action. So at a minimum, everyone on this call right now should be a Private Money Club free member, right? Test it out. If you're here for the first time, everyone should have a free profile. At least that's what I believe, right? Uh, if you are already a free member, get to a live event. Come to the Money Tank in Charlotte, November 8th and 9th. Jose, if you can put up the link for where people can get tickets to that. I had someone ask me about that, right? Accelerator course. If you like learning this stuff, you're weird like me and you'd love to practice twice a week for a couple hours each time, and then have some help and some coaching on the side through your first couple of transactions or deals, as long as they're within that time frame that we're working together. Let's get you into the accelerator course. I'd love to see you guys in there, right? Next class starts November 4th. All right. So if you got any questions at all, hit up the PMC team. Jose's in the chat. I think we did a good job of getting everything answered. We do this call every Thursday, 1 o'clock. So I hope to see you on the next one as well. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. Happy investing.